Hey everyone, welcome back to Italian Cinema Night here on the Bad Movie Night channel. It has been quite a while.
It's been a little bit, but we're back at it now. Super excited, AJ. So excited. Getting into some more Italian cinema.
So tonight we watched The Case of the Scorpion's Tail from 1971. Another Sergio Martino.
Yeah, the last time we watched the house of, what the hell is it called?
Your vice is a locked room and only I have the key.
How could I forget, AJ? How could I forget?
Such a hard title.
And this movie carries over a lot of the same actors and actresses, which was the first thing I noticed about this thing. Yeah. Very different movie, though, I will say. Well, in some ways.
Very different. Yeah, and this was made prior, too.
Oh, this was made prior. Okay, yeah, that's actually interesting.
Yeah, we're actually going backwards a little bit. So.
Yeah. What is it about?
So, The Case of the Scorpion's Tail is a convoluted story that jumps all over the place. So let's start here.
Abandons characters recklessly. Yes.
So it's about a widow named Lisa, who's played by Ida Gallia.
Yeah, Galli, I think. Galli.
She inherits a small fortune because her husband dies in a plane crash, which has weird circumstances. We're not sure if it was like an accident or it was on purpose, but more or less, she discovers that she inherits a rather large fortune of $1 million. And in doing so, she decides she wants to try to escape with her lover. But she is then brutally slashed to death, and the money disappears. And then insert insurance investigator George Hilton, and he is following the case, which leads down many other paths, including we have a journalist that comes in as like his love interest.
All kinds of twists and turns, red herrings as you'd expect in a mystery like this. Yeah, it's an interesting setup and premise for the movie. I like it, and it also at times it made me like question the entire thing because you were shown a very small miniature airplane, which is the weakest effect in the entire movie. But letting that go, like the idea of her husband blowing up on this plane and her being a suspect for this because she inherits $1 million from him blowing up on a plane seems rather odd to me.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea, because there's so many people that are going to be on that plane, and to think that everybody is kind of like congregating around this one woman just because she got $1 million from her rich husband who died on a plane crash. Like it was like, it wasn't personal enough to like assume that she would have done this to get the insurance money. It'd be like such a convoluted scheme to blow up an airplane like that.
Yeah, and then like the first scene where she flies to
Athens?
I think she flies to Athens, or even prior to that, when she finds out that she has the insurance of $1 million, she seems pretty shocked by it.
She's surprised, yes.
So you think as the audience is like, oh, okay, maybe she wasn't aware of this. So.
Yeah, which is fine, because it is a mystery, and it wants to constantly set you up with these red herrings, so that you're like, oh, maybe she did do it, or maybe it was this. And the movie quickly becomes convoluted with characters, like we said, appearing out of nowhere and then immediately getting killed. And this main actress that we start the movie with isn't in it for that long either.
Yeah.
But enough for you to settle in and think she's the lead.
Yeah, it kind of like jump ships from that fact that she is murdered off, and then we're like, well, someone else is behind us and took the money.
It's
and
like
you're kind of riding along with that.
Yeah, it's like a marathon where they're like handing off the baton to be the lead in the movie. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because you get like 30 minutes with people, and then it shifts between new characters. So it doesn't really give you enough time to invest in any of the characters, but your investment in the movie is on hearing what the twist is, right?
Correct. Yes.
Which I don't even know if that worked out well, but yeah.
Yeah, For sure. I will say something cool. I really like the opening sequence of this movie too, where she has like the red hat, and it's like following her like a target on her head kind of thing. Like I feel like even when we watch with what is it, your Vice is a locked room, and when I had the key, like he does a lot of really interesting stuff with the camera, and his visuals are really nice.
Oh,
and
most
you get that
definitely.
kind of stuff with this.
Even scenes where it's like 2 or 3 characters talking, the camera work is way more interesting than a lot of times what's going on in the story, at least for me, where it's just like constantly like doing things to be stylish and different. So like the scene will be shot like from below while the characters are talking, when it could have just been like a easy reverse type thing. There's a good fight sequence where it's like he got up on a ladder and was kind of like shooting down, but like awkward, like crooked into the room and stuff. It just makes everything feel off kilter and a little bit different. I like it. Yeah,
it was cool. He did some experimental camera work too. There's I think he did it a few times, but there's a scene where he literally turns the camera sideways.
Okay.
And he's shooting their hands. And,
oh yeah.
And it kind of does this tilt, and the whole camera is like going this way. And there's some cool stuff like that happening within it.
I also liked a lot of the transitions. One of the transitions, they're like getting into a car to escape, and he goes and puts the key in the ignition, and then when he goes to turn it, it cuts to a shot of him turning, or her turning the key in the hotel room or her apartment and going in. It was like such a clever idea to just transition you like that.
It was cool. The editing was really cool too. Like anytime there was like a tension sequence or about to be a tension, like instance, like early in the movie, she's on the phone. And there's also a scene when they go into the hotel room and discover the body. They do this fast cut.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It was
and,
cool.
With the music, it makes it like really intense.
Yes. And he experiments occasionally with like slow-mo to help build the tension a lot of times as well. I liked a lot of the visual stuff in this movie for sure. It's the story that like it's so like dumb when you like it's just kind of like, you know what I mean, like it's complicated but also kind of dumb a lot of times. I don't know.
Yeah well, there's a lot of characters, and I think
so
like even at the beginning, like you said, like the ex-lover that's like a drug dealer, you literally introduce him, and then the next scene she finds him dead like in his room, and it's just like so fast, and like on to the next thing.
I definitely didn't like this as much as your room is a locked door, vice key, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, right.
That movie, actually, I think the storyline was really strong, even though they are similar in a lot of ways, where they're dealing with kind of femme fatale, but not quite, but that's kind of what they want you to think. But like these, like, it's kind of like an erotic thriller in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of women that are like kind of doing shifty stuff, like the husband's mistress who comes in,
yes,
and you introduce to the theater, and like her lawyer / crazy hitman.
Yeah.
Which you get this awesome, by the way, you get this awesome staircase spiral chase scene that's absurd. Yeah. Where they're running down this spiral staircase. It's just like laughing.
That chase scene was really pretty funny. Like the way it cuts then to them like running into the car where they're like haphazardly acting like they ran away. It's just really cheap.
It's so silly.
But some of the other positive stuff, like you have the Italian zooms that you get in a lot of movies, but they use it, I think, to great effect, where it's like characters when they're thinking, and it like does get you like into their mind, where it's like, oh yeah, this is important to them, and constantly is pulling in on things and stuff like that. The thing you mentioned about like all these women are all frustrating victims, where a guy is breaking into their house and they are so overcome with emotion that they just basically lay down and accept their fate, which is so frustrating.
Yeah. I know. But it's like the classic thing, you know.
It's so classic.
It's funny. That scene where the mistress is in her home and he's playing with like the door with the knife, you know, that classic thing that they do with the knife, trying to unhatch the door, and like and she's just terrified to death. Like,
she's overcome that she decides to just not do anything, and it's like, do something. Yeah, it's frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I like this. It was all right. I was never really that invested in the storyline. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I think this is like, they made this, from what I understand, this was made very quickly.
Okay.
They made a film prior to this called The Case of Mrs. Wardeth or something like that, and this was made right after because that was such a successful movie, so they wanted to like kind of redo the same thing quickly. So we'll have to watch that next because that's supposed to be like his first great film in this genre.
That's interesting.
We're going backwards, but
I would have thought the only thing I have to compare it to is the Vice movie, the next one after this or whatever, one of his future ones. But that movie was less ambitious. This movie was very ambitious because they were all over the cities. They were in London, they were in Athens, and there was lots of like city streets and stuff like that. Yeah. They had so many settings. Yeah, cool apartments and stuff. So it did seem like it doesn't. I guess it doesn't really feel like a rushed movie or anything to me. That's interesting.
I thought it was interesting too how they like do this buddy cop angle with all these characters. Like they have the detective, they have what's his name, Hamilton's character, who is just like an insurance agent, and then they have Interpol agent.
Yeah,
and they're all like trying to investigate the thing together.
Everybody is investigating this woman's possible. Well, she does get murdered, but then like her relationship to this money. And that's the problem, because it's like, if an airplane crashes and 500 people die, I don't know. It doesn't seem like, and they don't have like specific evidence to back up that she did this or anything. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like a small story, but yet it has like this huge relationship to this massive accident that they're all kind of pinning on her, but not really. It's weird. It's just weird. It kept bugging me.
It's weird.
I did like the violent kill scenes in this movie.
Yeah, I thought, man, we got the coolest things and the most surprising, shocking thing was that eye.
That was amazing.
I was like, what?
So violent.
I just gouged out. And I liked that one, and then I liked when she was being attacked against the glass.
Yeah.
And, like they're shooting through the glass. That was cool.
Yeah. The end of the movie, while convenient and everything, is I think pretty cool because of the whole setup that they have with them kind of isolated on this island/boat type thing, and it looks really cool. The way she's like trying to escape through the sea by these rocks and stuff like that. It's a really cool setting, and it works because it does feel so isolating, and unfortunately, that she is basically unable to do anything to protect herself because the movie says so. Based on all the past things that happened to every other woman in this movie. So it's like she's just kind of running, and like, so you feel like, oh no, like there's definitely danger. Yeah.
It was interesting. I like the underwater aspects with like the cave and stuff.
That was cool.
Like very like James Bond Thunderball.
Yeah. That did feel James Bondish now that you say that. This woman kind of looked like a Bond girl. I don't think she was, but she had that kind of look, especially during these scenes. You could see fucking Sean Connery laying on that boat with her or something like that. It would be straight out of a James Bond movie.
I will say my biggest problem with the ending is it's just so ridiculous. These guys are searching through the water. They're on a boat looking for them, and they're like, we got 50 miles to cover, different islands, and there's no chance we'll find them. And then literally, like, the next scene, they're chasing the rocks, and they're randomly on the rocks and shoot
just right at the exact right moment, too.
Right? I was like, what happened? I mean, it was a cool idea. I just thought, like, that the timing was ridiculous and absurd that they even put that line in there that they would never find them. Like,
if they wouldn't have done that stuff, it would have been better. But yeah, it points out the absurdity of the whole situation, the convenience of everything. Yeah.
Or if she overcame him in some way.
Yeah,
you get,
exactly.
Like,
I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought she was going to like kick him off the rocks or something, but no.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things in this movie, especially visually, which is unsurprising. Yeah. What did you think of the music?
I like the music. The man who did the music, what's his name? I wrote down. Okay, Bruno Nicolai. I think we watched stuff that he's done music before, but they did this one track that I thought was really effective with the guitar and the plucking of the string where it's like off tune. and I thought that was a pretty cool effect, and like feeling like off-settled and like eerie. But yeah, I enjoyed the music at times. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, like I gotta say, the opening shot to this movie, where she's like walking down the street, and that music's playing, like it is the most Italian 70s thing you could ever get. Like it's just like perfect. I was like, all right, yes, this is what we're in for. Yeah, I would say I was disappointed, but I really wasn't because I didn't have much expectation for this movie.
Yeah.
But, it's not the best one of his we've seen, I don't think, but it's a pretty fun time.
It's pretty fun, and you know, I watched it twice now, and I definitely think I enjoyed it more the second time around watching it.
I thought it was going to be sleazier, just because it seemed like it was going to go that way. But every time where you thought it was going to be like exploitative in some ways, it really wasn't. I mean, there's a little bit of nudity, but it's not ridiculous or anything, and it's usually pretty quick. So.
Yeah, it's not like Vice, which was like a little bit too far. This was actually pretty timid.
Yeah, exactly. Now that you say it, because Vice did have those moments where it was just like, all right, this is a 10-minute long naked sex scene. What
did you think? I love this scene where the guy is like creeping in the on the fire escape. And the reason he's creeping is because he like blocked the garage in, and you go downstairs and the guy's like fucking parked in the middle of the road. Like what the like that's the red flag that he's a fucking dick. Like he leaves the car like that. It's like, what the fuck is this?
There's that scene that's a little ridiculous. There's the scene where they're like eating soup and he like spoons out a whole can of paprika that she accidentally cooked in the soup or something. It's like,
that was pretty funny. It was just like absurdity.
Yeah, it's so absurd. He has a bunch more movies to check out.
Yeah. There's some good ones. So we're going to watch Mrs. Worth, which is like his first one. But there's also Torso, which is like his classic, which we're going to watch.
I want to check that out for sure.
I really want to see all the colors of the dark, which is supposed to be like a cult.
Ooh.
Like cult mysticism kind of one, which I think is going to be awesome.
Yes, I want to see that for sure.
So I recommend it. You know, I think I've really liked the films we've watched of him so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen Your Vice is a locked door, rocked room, and only I have the key. Whew, that is a better movie. So if you'd have the choice, I think that is the better movie. But if you like that, then you probably like this for the most part. It does carry a lot of similarities through.
Yeah.
The acting is good too. I like the actors in this movie.
Yeah, great cast. And, acting was good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd recommend it.
Recommend it. Till next time, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.